It's 8 o'clock. Welcome to the Citi Newsroom. My name is Vivian Kai Loco.
And I am Umaru Sanda Amadou.
Coming up, government bows to pressure as it postpones ban on fishing to 2019. We'll bring you the latest development on the story. Also, with the NDC's campaign season open, we find out why certain senior figures within the party have called former President John Mahama an unmarketable candidate. Also coming up, users of internet service provider Surfline demand compensation after services were restored following a total blackout days ago. We'll take you to Kumasi in the Ashanti region, where retailers are insisting that they do not agree to share the same market with Nigerian retailers in the Swami Magazine area. And later, President Akufo-Addo speaks up against fake news in the Ghanaian media space as the Ghana Institute of Journalism holds its graduation ceremony. It's our very first story. And government has postponed its intention to institute a closed season on fishing activities this year. However, the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture says consultations will begin now for its implementation next year. Now, the sector minister, Madam Elizabeth Afole-Kwe, has advised the various groups to start preparing for next year. In July, when the announcement was first made, fisherfolk across coastal areas threatened to demonstrate against government. My colleague Philip Nilati earlier filed this report from Jamestown in Accra.
A number of fisherfolk with red bands tied to their wrists and foreheads have marched up here at the Jamestown Fishing Harbour to register their displeasure against the ban on fishing activities effective next month. The angry fisherfolk believe that marching to the Jubilee House to meet the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is the best option. Some of the angry fisherfolk spoke to Citi Newsroom.
Wa go low wujin wo ka sasa woni bi wa ko choneji no no ga ko bi na mi ga school ni bi na ga wa anga insure na ga wonyo be to wa fe to wa ko bi ga won ami agbere oba na skaro ga gwa wa agomenti ba amowo no di no ko ba gba wona ya ga o ti wo pio bi na ga sha nga wonu nshi ga wa jo ga so le nu wa to do nu wa no ya ni wo ga ko ka fe no fra no ejele mi o no nshi no ka wo ga na kan be mande wo ba ya Oba fidenta kono wa president eje ya wole na wa wo
wo ya wo wo chi woni wo ka ko wo bi ka wo gbe shi omu wo bi wo ka gbe shi won pa nu mu efa yi ko na kan egbe eje kwa ye edumomi itoje la ba ko wo chi woni
fi ko me po fi asi omi ta ma kana na ke ba no ke we na fo mi obu ade mbani na mpa me ke mo mi me anga ko shoda August mi June July August September October fe bi analo o no kaka ho ete to gbe ete beni gbebe ya no wona kan ni wona ko ekodan no wu me ka wa me nyomojin pa fa
Convener of the Friends of the Artisanal Fishermen, Neti says the Fisheries Ministry should rather focus on implementing the findings of a committee report that reveals what is causing fish stock in the country to dwindle.
We therefore call on the Minister, Elizabeth Afole-Kwe, and for that matter, government, to call off the closed season and properly engage fishermen in addressing the challenges that faces the industry. Do wide consultation to seek the support of all fisher folks of all the landing beaches from the Volta region to the Western region in the quest to seeking sustainable solution to the dwindling fish stock in our waters. We will join hands with all the landing beaches in Ghana with any decision they take legally in against this ill-prepared policy of implementation by the fisheries industry.
For Citi News, Philip Nilate reporting from Jamestown.
So it appears the fishermen have got the needed results. Let's listen to the Minister for Fisheries, Afole-Kwe, who made the announcement of the postponement this afternoon.
The close season, and they are ready for it. Their minds are now made up for it. Yesterday, there was a fishing expedition by the neighbor. Yes, the fish that they landed was something small in Obuebe. The fish that they landed for the festival was
3 crates.
The maximum was 3 crates, eh?
Yes.
It was just too small. It went to emphasize the fact that we have lost the stocks. So, in saying that it is time for us to close the sea so the fish can replenish itself, the stocks can replenish themselves, I still stand on that it is time for us to do it. But if you listen to the agitations, the clamor, the information that you are gathering, and people are telling you that, oh, allow us enough time. We've gone for loans. Allow us enough time. We are now listening. We are listening, and we are saying that it is time to extend the close season for you to understand, for you to imbibe it into your spirit and prepare your mind for it. We will do it next year. So we are giving you 1 whole year to think through and prepare yourselves, prepare your minds.
So still stay with that story, because friends of the artisanal fishermen had threatened to demonstrate if government had gone ahead with that implementation of that directive. So joining me in the studio now is a convener of the Friends of the Artisanal Fishermen, Mr. Nete, to help us understand the issues and also whether they're excited about the latest development. Welcome to the Citi Newsroom.
Thank you very much, Vivian.
Good for you. You had said that this thing shouldn't go ahead, and it hasn't.
Yes, good for us, and good for all the artisanal fishermen. I must say that congratulations to them. It's going to help us a big deal. Why am I saying so? Already we have procured a lot of loans to help us around this period. Now, the postponement of the close season is going to allow for broad consultation. It's going to allow for the implementation of the committee report, which is already there. It is also going to allow for a proper research to be done. What do I mean by proper research? As we speak now, government do not know the fish stock which is in our exclusive economic zones now. What it will allow for is that we should conduct proper research into it, know the stock left in our waters, and then when the close season is implemented, we would also know what had been added to it when the close season was implemented.
Now, there were a lot of issues you raised that you expected government to deal with instead of concentrating on closing the season. Now, those issues are relevant. What are those issues and how should they be addressed?
Very well. Already, the first research was done in, I think, 2016 during President Mohammed's time. So what happened is that there were fisheries management plan. The last on it was the close season. Now, the fisheries management plan has processes to be taken. First of all, there were illegal processes employed in fishing. The fishermen are saying that all these things must be stopped first. What are we talking about? We are talking about deep light intensity fishing. We are talking about people using dynamite and then obnoxious chemicals. We are also talking about people using undersized nets and monofilament nets. And then we are talking about people using some crude methods in fishing. We are saying that all these processes must be stopped first. When all these processes are stopped, then we can have a proper close season implemented. And when it is implemented, the expected results will be yielded.
Now, these illegal activities are running across all the coast, or the coastline of the country.
Sure, all the coastline, especially using the light fishing. What happened is that these are methods which were not traditionally used by the artisanal fishermen. They copied from the trawlers. What they do is that These are heavy light intensities. They drop it in the ocean, and then they attract the fishes to come to where the lights are. When they get closer, they are blinded. Whether fingerlings or grown fishes, they will all die, and in the process, they will be captured. All these things are being practiced all across our coast, from Western region to the Volta region, and that needed to be stopped right away.
Now, some of the issues you raised at the time when we spoke to some of the fisher folk was the issue about pair trawling. But we're picking up reports that we really don't have that happening in our waters.
That's true. There's no pair trawling as we speak now. But there's the activities of the trawlers. What they do is that they have heavy, bigger nets with small size nets. What they do is that they use machines to draw their nets. And they cast their nets very wide at 200 meters away from where the boat is. Now, when the machine is drawing the nets, it scoops the bellies of the ocean. In the process, it destroys the habitats of the ocean, where the fishes even spawn is destroyed. Some living organisms that the fishes feed on the floor of the ocean are also destroyed in the process. What we are saying is that during 2008 to 2014, pair trawling was stopped. What happened is that there were the activities of the trawlers. We have about 167 trawlers in our waters. Now it has been reduced to 67, and we are saying that it should be further reduced to about 35 or 40. This will allow for our fishermen to fish within their nautical mile zone. Now, what it is that because the pair trawling and then the inshore fishing vessels cannot go into their economic zone, they rather come into the artisanal zone to come and fish what the artisanal canoe fishermen who are going to get. So when their number is reduced, we would have our fish growing properly and increasing the stock in our waters.
Okay, so you've spoken about two main issues you want, crude methods of fishing and the issue about pair trawling. What else trawling. What else was contained in that report that was submitted to the committee for government to look at, to deal with, instead of closing the season?
What was contained in the committee is that there's no proper surveillance in our waters. So you have other people coming into our economic zones to come and fish. Now we are saying that government should equip the marine police, the naval forces, with ships and speedboats, so that they can be deployed onshore to properly guard our territorial waters. Why are we saying that? These Chinese trawlers also come into our waters to come and fish and go, and in the process they are taking what belongs to our fishermen. So we are saying that, and also it will take care of the people who employ all those crude methods. When we have the presence of the forces over there onshore, it will allow for the people to use the right methods in fishing.
Right. Now, your members say that they took loans to be able to go about the activities, etc. Next year, we are still going to have the closed season, per what government is saying. In the interim, how are your members and the fisher folk cushioning themselves for that closed season that is definitely going to come?
This is what we have been asking for, so that 1 year will allow for some broad consultation, 1 year will allow for some preparation, 1 year will also allow for government to also have an impact assessment measures, so that they will know how many people are going to be affected by the closed season, so that government can also put in some mitigated factors to mitigate the pain and the hardship that they will be going through. Now, we have over 15,000 registered canoes across our beaches, and when in the period of 1 year, government can conduct its own search to properly register them, so that they can put something in place for them when the season is closed. So we are also saying that properly, when the season is closed, you would have people go to find another jobs to do. Now, it would also give opportunities for the fishes to come and spawn. It will also increase this our fishes in our waters. The last thing that I want to say is that when in a period of 1 year is a long period for government to start working on closed season in 2019, as the minister have already proposed.
Yes, sir. So you're expecting these consultations to enable you also prepare yourself for that close season, etc. And you're also expecting government to deal with the issues to enable the industry thrive when that close season, comes to an end. But there's also the question, it looks that you keep blaming government for a lot of issues, but there are also issues around how the fisher folks themselves have also been going about activities in the waters,
Yeah, when there is no proper regulatory system for people, it always gives opportunity for people to use other methods in doing what they want to do. Now, the fisher folks have already seen that the methods they are using themselves is killing their trade. Now, so they have already sat with government to tell them that these are the methods which are being used, which is killing the system, which is destroying our waters. So that if government would want to properly regulate the system, they would have to make sure all these measures are taken into consideration and put a stop to them.
Okay, hang in there. Let me bring in another person who is well versed in the issues of fishing or the fishing industry. We've been speaking to him on issues anytime it comes to do with fishing. Ni Ama Amafio is a fisherman himself and is also a consultant. Ni, welcome to the Citi Newsroom. A fisherman.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the Citi Newsroom. Now, when these agitations started, we spoke to you, and you indeed also agreed with the fisher folk that we have other issues to deal with rather than concentrating on the close season. How does this news come to you? Government at least listen that we have to hold on and deal with these issues.
Well, it didn't come to me as a surprise because I knew we wouldn't get there. I knew we have not taken the first step right, so we wouldn't get there. It's not an exciting story. It rather gives much responsibility to us, the industry players, because if now you tell government you can't close because that's not the solution, and that activities by ourselves and other activities on land contribute to the destruction of the fisheries, then we now have a duty to go back to our people and tell them you can't use small mesh sizes, you can't do light fishing, you can't trawl and dump fish in the sea, you can't do many things. We now need to start enforcing the laws by ourselves. We need voluntary compliance. We need to do things that will resuscitate the stocks. We need to stop growth overfishing and recruitment overfishing. We need to do many things right as industry. Probably we need to have more training for our people to appreciate the need to fish responsibly. And so I feel the government has rather brought the responsibility onto us as industry players, and we need to live up to it. Now, beyond that, we also need to improve on our science and research. We immediately need a research vessel. If the research vessel is not available, we need to train scientists and put them in the existing fishing vessels to be able to take basic scientific data, catch and effort data, be able to take surface water temperature, be able to identify fish that are gravid and need to spawn, where they are gravid, where they spawn. They need to identify areas where they are juvenile. If government is not closing the entire sea, does not mean that we cannot close areas. So you go fishing and there's a proper scientist on the vessel and identifies that this area has a juvenile, the area could immediately close. You see, closure is a process. And it's not just because August there is no closure, there can be closures. There can be closures. We already do not allow people to fish around the estuaries. We need to enforce it. It's a form of closure. So what we are saying is that you don't need a one-off 1 month closure and then your stocks will bounce back. You need to do a number of things. And I think we should be doing that way back. And so if we are not doing it, we should be doing it from now. So from immediately today, now, we should start thinking about how to close areas. We now need to have the scientists probably tagging fish to know
but do we have the capacity to do the scientific bit, the data bit,
we have
and
the
all
capacity
that?
If we want to do it. Let me tell you, you have a lot of students who are in the University of Ghana, University of Cape Coast, and then Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, who are doing fisheries and marine sciences and all that. they all have project areas they are studying. You could put them in the vessels and make it part of their course of study to do some science and bring the results. When they do the science and they bring the results, you discuss with industry. These are the results that our students are bringing, and it informs decision making. So you don't need to import people from anywhere to do some of these things. We now need to have gear regulation. We need to have gear designs. We need to study our fish behaviors and know which gear fits which type of species if you want to protect them. We need to start thinking about introducing artificial reefs to protect some or to regenerate our demersal species and protect those areas. We need to now think long term and start thinking about how to introduce mariculture so that people are encouraged to go into mariculture and so can culture some fish species that we can culture. So we now need to sit down at the table and say, first, let's stop all the legalities. Now, how do we put in place regulatory regimes that protect our fisheries? Then how do we think long term to ensure that we manage our stocks, and then we do a lot more production? Then you need to now look at the entire ecosystem and see how we have to restore our mangroves, our brackish water, all the way into our riverine system. Then we need to look at post-harvest. We cannot continue, for instance, to be drying anchovies on the ground when others are canning them. How then do we manage the post-harvest process so that there is value to the fish, so that the fisherman wouldn't need to bring a load of fish in the canoe before he makes some money? Because if you have value at the post-harvest side, the fisherman will be able to sell for value. So it's a whole lot of things.
It looks like so much to do. We have to move away from this story. But from the two of you, immediately, what are the realistic things you can start doing based on what
the realistic thing is to stop all the illegalities. That is where we can start from. And then we need to identify areas we can close.
Okay. Nee?
Very well, I agree with him. What the Fisheries Commission and the fisheries industry need to do is first now engage the fishermen right now, start forming community surveillance teams to make sure we deal with all these illegalities first, and then we can think of the research and other things to improve the stocks in our waters.
Okay, we'll be keeping an eye on your industry, and you, the two in particular, whether you work with putting on hold the illegal activities. Let me say thank you to our two guests, Nee Amafio. He's a fisherman himself and a fishing consultant, as well as Nee Nete. He's a convener of the Friends of Artisanal Fishermen. You're still watching the Citi Newsroom. My name is Vivian Kai. Local, don't go away.
The Citi FM Literacy Challenge is back. Are you a JHS student? Are you willing to contribute to change? What would you do if you were the president of Ghana? Do you want to win a whopping 10,000 Ghana cedis? If yes, then participate in the Literacy Challenge 2018. Level 1. The year is 2035. The law allows people below age 40 to contest the presidency. As a presidential candidate in a general election, in no less than 600 words, write your manifesto speech. Remember, letter must be in your own handwriting, must be endorsed by a parent or guardian. Add your full contact details and post to the Literacy Challenge, P.O. Box GP 14123 Accra Central, or drop it off at the front desk of Citi FM at the Braka behind the police station. Level 2. The top 50 students selected from all over Ghana shall take a written general knowledge quiz. And finally, Level 3. The top 10 students shall compete in the classic quiz competition to win the ultimate prize of 10,000 Ghana cedis. The Literacy Challenge is powered by 97.3 Citi FM and sponsored by Data Bank Edifund and MoneyGram with support from Citi TV. Closing date for entries is Friday, 10th August 2018. Call 0205-973-973 for more inquiries. Terms and conditions apply.
It's engaging, detailed, and loaded with factual and incisive analysis. It's The Big Issue, your preferred Saturday morning news and current affairs analysis program on Citi TV. Tune in this and every Saturday at 9 a.m. and hear the newsmakers discuss the top issues for the week.
At that time, Charlotte was complete. I'm not defending Charlotte. I'm talking about the way we behave like hypocrites and ostriches in this country. At that time, she was a perfect person.
It's The Big Issue with Stella Madonu on Citi TV. This and every Saturday at 9 a.m.
You're welcome back to the Citi Newsroom on Citi TV. I am Umaru Sanda Amadu. Now, President Akufo-Addo has cautioned the country's media to guard against fake news. According to the president, misinformation can plunge the nation into chaos. Speaking at the 12th congregation of the Ghana Institute of Journalism, Nana Akufo-Addo said government will do all it can to ensure that the media only does what is right.
The caution by the president comes on the back of numerous news reports on social media which turn out to be fake and untrue. Social media platforms such as WhatsApp, Facebook, and Twitter have been used to channel fake news for political advantage. Addressing journalists and graduates at the Ghana Institute of Journalism in Accra today, President Akufo-Addo says journalists in the country should be channels of credible information and not fake news.
The second risk we have to guard against is that of inadvertent misinformation that is sometimes published by mainstream media, which has also the potential to lead us all in a race to the bottom. This happens when there's a little twist of facts, often to get the best headline, or a publication of the unverified claim in the haste to be first in breaking the news. The worrying trend is that in many cases, even after the public has been misinformed and the true facts are later made known, mainstream media often chickens out of an open, honest acknowledgement that we were wrong. The choice is often to sweep it under the carpet and move on to the next big story. To guard against this second risk, which increases as media channels increase, let me encourage media owners in particular to invest continuously in building the capacity of their staff. The media has immeasurable power to build up the confidence and values of our society and its institutions, and therefore ought to be assisted in being on top of its game at all times. I call on media practitioners in the country also to take a second look at the power they wield and the responsibility they owe society, with a view to ensuring that they do not sacrifice integrity and the future of our society for today's headline or breaking news.
The Ghana Institute of Journalism, which was established in October 1959, has trained many journalists in the country. Today, a total of 870 students graduated with various degrees and diploma. Chairman of the Governing Council of the Institute, Professor Anso Chreme, appealed to the President to help GIJ complete the construction of its intended campus at Okponglo.
No institution can call itself a university or offer quality tuition and research without a well-equipped and functional library. Therefore, sir, we are asking for your intervention to add a library and administration block to complement the uncompleted structure you assume you instantly be fixed. DIJ, having become a university a few years back, still yearns for such a facility. Furthermore, we are today standing on grounds that are still under development. You can see it all over. In other words, and at the risk of repeating myself, sir, we need your support to complete this uncompleted structure.
From the Okonglo campus of the GIJ, my name is Sami Wiafe.
Well, in a related development, Citi 97.3 FM sponsored the Best Student in Broadcast Journalism Special Award. The recipient of the award, Angela Nashedua Boche, who is a Communication Studies degree holder with first-class honors in journalism, expressed gratitude for the recognition and had a few words for aspiring journalists.
It's been fun, it's been stressful, and most of all, it's been hectic sometimes, but then that's how far the Lord has brought us. I believe they should do their best, especially, and then read wide, as well as watch more news. Like, you know, this our generation, they don't like watching news and all that, but then they should read wide, watch more news, because that is what the work is about.
Let's remain with education, and students of the Ulo Senior High School in the Upper West region take their lunch in the hot sun due to inadequate school infrastructure. Our Upper West regional correspondent Latif Mahama has more in the following report.
Ulo Senior High School was established in 1991 with a student population of 41. Although both teachers and students strive to attain high academic laurels, inadequate infrastructure continued to be a bane on teaching and learning. The school is without an administration block and is hard-pressed for classrooms and dormitories. Students travel long distances in search for water, as the only borehole is unable to cater for both staff and the over 1,500 students. It is a sight to behold, as students are compelled to take their meals under trees due to lack of a dining hall facility. Citi News checks revealed that a dining hall facility which was awarded in 2015 under the Get Fund project is abandoned. As the double-track system of education is due to start in September, enrollment is expected to increase, thereby worsening the plight of these students. The Upper West Regional Director of Education, Ivan Speba, is however assuring that frantic efforts are put in place to change the situation.
Visited Ulo, he said a lot and promised to do a lot for Ulo Senior High School. The major challenge in Ulo Senior is water and then the dining hall. And government has already taken steps to address that situation. What they have requested is to submit lists of all ongoing projects or Get Fund projects that were not completed. So we have forwarded those, and so I know government is taking steps to address that situation.
They should help us at least. They should give us dining hall. They should build dining hall for us. At least when it is raining, we can get inside there and then take our meals and go back to our classes early and take our studies.
Education, they say, is the bedrock of every society. It is against this background that parents, teachers, as well as students of Ulo Senior High School are expectant that government will immediately come to their aid. From Ulo, Latif Mahama, Citi TV.
Now, customers of internet service providers Surfline are demanding for a compensation after a 3-day internet blackout. This demand comes after NCA's intervention in the impasse between Surfline Ghana and Glow Ghana as a result of the former's indebtedness.
Now, Citi Newsroom's Hansen Ajuman has been speaking with some of the affected customers and has come through with this report.
Customers of internet service provider Surfline have in the past days complained about poor internet service. The problem reportedly is due to an impasse between Surfline and support service provider Glow Ghana. Glow is reported to have cut service to Surfline as a result of Surfline's indebtedness. Some customers who are bearing the brunt of the impasse say their businesses are at risk.
The problem, because we normally use the internet to do our work, but when the problem started, we are not able to communicate through the internet again, because we normally use the internet to do our communication in and out.
Yeah, actually, I use Surfline for my business, and what happened is the shutdown has really
disturb my business, even though I find alternative in other networks.
The regulator, the National Communication Authority, NCA, following the complaints, has intervened. It says the intervention is to protect the customers.
The NC met with both Glo and Surfline to determine the details and extent of the issue. After various engagements, the authority advised both parties to refer all disputes between them for further and external actions if need be. On their part, Surfline was cautioned to ensure that they meet all obligations to all stakeholders to avoid a repetition of such issues and to ensure that their customers duly receive the benefits of the services they had subscribed to. The Surfline network has since been restored.
Some customers of Surfline who have confirmed the restoration of the network are demanding compensation for the period within which there was poor internet connectivity.
They need to give us some compensation for the numbers of days, because the service, the package that's the unlimited package, that's for 30 days. So that means as the thing has not worked for 3 days, you have to send them some query or some information or find something way to talk to them so that they will compensate us for the service, that for the 3 days that we are not able to get their service.
Obviously, according to the views of customers of Surfline spoken to, they demand a good service and a compensation. Reporting for Citi News, Hansen Ajaman.
You're still watching the Citi Newsroom. My name is Vivian Kai Loco. Tonight I'm here with
Umaru Sanda Amadu.
When we come back, we'll tell you the NDC's campaign season is open, but we'll find out why certain senior figures within the party have called former President John Mahama an unmarketable candidate. Don't go away.
Live music, interviews, poetry, and more with your favorite personalities. Be our guest on Saturdays from 2 to 4 p.m. for the most exciting moments on TV. Join Kojo Akoto Boateng for real entertainment right in your living room. Saturday Live on Citi TV and Citi 97.3 FM.
Wherever the weekend sporting action happened, we will bring it to you here on Scorecard. Every goal, every dunk, every punch, the winning strides, and the winning volleys.
International media, he said, look, wait, sit and wait. Let me have a meal with my people. And I think that's the same cool, it's the same organization he brings to the field every time I've seen him play. He looks to me like somebody who has played over 50 caps already. Okay. But this guy has barely played over 25 caps for the national team.
All of the weekend's action in one place. Scorecard, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. prompt on Citi TV.
It's engaging, detailed, and loaded with factual and incisive analysis. It's The Big Issue, your preferred Saturday morning news and current affairs analysis program on Citi TV. Tune in this and every Saturday at 9 a.m. and hear the newsmakers discuss the top issues for the week.
At that time, Charlotte was complete. I'm not defending Charlotte. I'm talking about the way we behave like hypocrites and ostriches in this country. At that time, she was a perfect person.
It's The Big Issue with Stella Madonu on Citi TV. This and every Saturday at 9 a.m.
For regular news checks as they unfold, 2020 news. All day, all the time. Politics, sports, entertainment, business, and more. 2020 news. We bring you the world in 20 minutes.
And that's all the news in 20 minutes.
You're welcome back to Citi Newsroom on Citi TV. I am Umaru Sandamadu. Now, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority seems to have gone to sleep over its directive to commercial drivers to fit seatbelts in their vehicles or risk being sanctioned. Almost 3 years after the expiration of that ultimatum, nothing has been done. Eugenia Tinkran has more.
Seatbelt saves lives. This warning has been drummed home to road users many times. It probably is a cliche now. 6 years ago, Ghana's parliament passed the Road Traffic Regulation Instrument, which, among other things, makes it mandatory for seatbelts to be fitted in every vehicle for each passenger. But it was not until 2015 when the Drivers and Vehicle Licensing Authority, the DVLA, decided to enforce this regulation. However, that was met with agitation from intra-city commercial drivers especially, who doubted its feasibility. 3 years on, the driver's stance hasn't changed.
I was a cousin at Rotro. In a back seat. I've been a basic bellet or basic. And son of Bizanfo, and son of Befo, what 2 years behind her. No busy, no, you see, but into him say, one time you call meeting, and your chairman Coca says, and Trotro there, and who here, Silbert, and I say, Silbert, no. Says here, and ye. And said to me, say, you are told, omnibus scramble, and said, I won't drink him. A moment, Tim Grandma does say, a moment, a mom Jim does your mom, and to know any so then at Rotro. Nipani see I know before. I've been obviously ever had me. I didn't know, and a government, you know,
the DVLA, nonetheless, has had a lax attitude to its own directive not to license new vehicles which don't meet this criteria. And drivers seem to have taken advantage of the development. Even though some of them have fitted seatbelts to all seats in their cars, they care less if they are used by passengers or not.
For the passengers there, it's not our responsibility to do that. Some of them, at times they are rushing, board the car and always they are in a hurry. So we can't force them. We can't force them to do whatever they are not prepared to do.
And passengers themselves seem to be unsure of what is best for them.
Yes, if now bend. And with yes, if now, feeling wow, obey because you've been in what obey your business, and to just say, I'm buying a manaye. We say, just a car, no, a beer was it better, and son of bet me, I took Kansana, a bibber monases, the idea,
But the National Road Safety Commission continues to worry over what its PRO, Kwame Kodria Ituahene, calls a frustrating situation.
But unfortunately, given the circumstances we find ourselves, you are left a bit frustrated. I mean, there's too little that you can do. This commission does not have the mandate to get on the road to enforce the law.
Your safety and comfort, they both matter. But what matters more to you? Well, you get to choose when you sit inside the next available trotro. Reporting for Citi News, I am Eugenia Tenkram.
And here in the Citi Newsroom studios, I am Umaru Sandamado with Vivian Kailoko. Now, former Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Ken Jirasa, has described John Mahama as an unmarketable candidate for the NDC in the 2020 elections. According to the party elder, the difficulty in marketing the former president to the Ghanaian electorate after losing the 2016 elections has informed his decision to support Professor Joshua Alabi for the contest. Ken Jirasa, together with NDC stalwart Ambassador Beho, have jointly thrown their weight behind the candidature of Professor Joshua Alabi. Speaking to Citi Newsroom, the former North Tongues Member of Parliament said Professor Alabi is a fresh face the NDC needs to wrestle power from the MPP. Meanwhile, members of the NDC in the Team Alabi camp have welcomed the endorsement from the two party stalls. So let's get some further details on these particular developments. And Citi Newsroom's Fred Tete Jabano has joined me in studio. Fred, you're welcome. So I'm sure the Mahama camp didn't see this coming. Who are Beho and Ken Jirasa?
So let me start with Ambassador Victor Beho. Ambassador Victor Beho was Foreign Minister under President Rawlings. He was also MP for Anglo. After he left office in 2004, he went to become, later on became an advisor to the former President Mills, then became president of ECOWAS. So this is Ambassador Victor Beho. He's known he's an elder of the NDC as we speak now. Okay. And when we come to Ken Jirasa, Ken Jirasa is MP for Norton, was MP for Norton. He also rose to become the second Deputy Speaker of Parliament during his time in Parliament then, and he's also now part of the Council of Elders of the NDC as we speak. So
this is the first high-profile endorsements we are seeing, correct?
Exactly. This is the biggest and first high-profile endorsements we've gotten so far since the race was opened yesterday.
How important is this endorsement?
It's very important for the Alabi camp. This is because you are coming against a president or a former president who is well-resourced, who is very popular, who has kept in touch with the base of the party through these walks and everything. He seems to be the likely person to lead the NDC if you want to look at it from where they are coming. The most likely person to lead the NDC. So if you have these two stalwarts of the NDC coming from the Volta region, declaring their support for Alabi, Professor Alabi, then it's quite huge, because then it would boost the campaign of Alabi, because these two people would also have a lot of people who follow them. Somebody like Victor Beho is one person who commands a lot of following in the Volta region. So if you have Mr. Victor Beho throwing his support behind you, you know that it's not only him, he's coming with numbers. And you know the game of politics is just numbers. The election is numbers. So yes, it's a positive thing for Professor Alabi.
I know we earlier said that this is the most high-profile endorsement, but we shouldn't also lose sight of the fact that 94 members of parliament, even though we haven't seen the complete list, have said that they are throwing their weight behind John Dramani Mahama. So it's become a campaign or a politics of endorsement, hasn't it?
Yes. It doesn't come as a surprise that these 94 people, as you said, we cannot confirm. But before they did do that some few days ago, some of them had been already saying that they would go and support President Mahama. They even went to his house one time, or to his office one time, to urge him to run for the flag bearership race of the NDC. So it didn't really come as a surprise. But the numbers, as we are speaking now, has been challenged. But then, yes, having the huge number of members of parliament supporting one candidate, which is the former president, is also huge. You realize that the difference between these members of parliament and Victor Beho is that Victor Beho and Ken Jirasa represent a certain group of the NDC, which is the older group of the NDC, the elders of the party. And these MPs also represent a certain group. If you look at the current MPs in Parliament, they are quite younger. So there are two different age groups Okay. As we were speaking now.
So we know that the nominations have not opened, but the party has sanctioned members of the party who wish to run for flag bearership to start campaigning. Who are the people we're expecting to see on the campaign trail?
So far, we've had Professor Alabi, who has declared his intent to run. We've had Sylvester Mensah also declaring his intent to run. We've had Dr. Ekosfio Gabra, who's also declared his intent to run. The former president, Mahama, hasn't been so clear about whether he's going to run, but he says that he's listened to the calls from the masses in the party, and he's going to heed to the call. We don't know what that call is yet, but all indications show that he might run again.
The one who will be most affected by this endorsement that we're talking about should be the Mahama camp. Have they responded? Have they said anything?
Yes, they responded. They're one of the leaders of the 94 MPs who threw their support behind President Mahama, Nilante van der Poel, has said that, yes, the fact that these two gentlemen have thrown their support behind Professor Alabi doesn't mean anything. He cited the example of the President Mills and Nana Konedu Agyemang-Rawlings contest where he says that you had the founder of the party who was the husband of Nana Konedu Agyemang-Rawlings openly throwing support behind his wife. Even that didn't change anything. That's
she got 3%.
She got 3%. So he's saying that even with the elders of the NDC, he doesn't think there'll be much, make any much difference.
Thank you very much, Fred Tete-Jaban of the Citi Newsroom for that analysis. This is Citi Newsroom on Citi TV. Let's move on now. In the Christian Health Association of Ghana, CHAG, has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Pharma Access Group to institute a digital supply chain system to facilitate the supply of medicines to its member institutions. This follows deliberations from its annual conference, citing the need for a more constant and reliable delivery of quality medicines to its health facilities and patients. Deputy Executive Director of CHAG, Peter Ibuo, tells Citi News the move is to attain government's goal of universal health coverage with a robot system.
In this era, technology has become a very essential tool for the survival of humans, and this is no different in the health sector. Recently, the Vice President, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, said that Ghana would, by September this year, use drones to distribute blood and essential medicines to the country's remote areas as part of efforts to ensure quality healthcare delivery. In Ghana, the rate at which people die, maternal and child mortality, continues to be a major concern for health practitioners who believe many of the deaths can be avoided if essential medicines and blood are constantly made available to health facilities. The Christian Health Association of Ghana has therefore told the part of government by signing an MOU with Farm Access, a Dutch non-governmental organization, to establish a digital supply chain system for medicines. The Deputy Executive Director of CHAG built a strong case for the need of the system.
Our core mandate and mission primarily is to ensure that everyone, all patients, our clients have access to safer, quality, affordable medicines that will promote health and healing at all times. Block of any health system, how to leverage emerging technologies to address emerging conditions and diseases. I think as part of this particular system, we are considering delivery by drones to needy areas, needy and inaccessible places. So I think that technology has its added value, and yet we are aware that it should be introduced in a way that promotes healthcare delivery, that makes it more affordable and accessible, that also ensures harm mitigation.
But how will the digital supply chain work? The country director for Farm Access gives further explanation.
Components of the MOU are one that we will set up a supply chain system which is digital. So, you know, the typical supply chain is you buy the medicines and you move them from where you bought them to the hospitals. This time around we are doing that using technology so that we can integrate many people onto that platform, including suppliers and healthcare providers. Where it needs to be moved by trucks, to move by trucks. Where it needs to be moved by drones, to move by drones. It's about how track providers can better manage their claims, which is the NHIS claims. Most of the track providers are NHIS subscribed providers. So the idea would be to how do we make sure that the claims that they process are efficient, they don't get unnecessary deductions, and they're able to process their claims on time, and also to be able to obtain financing from the claims.
With this new trend of introducing technology in health delivery, there are high hopes of improved health service in the country. Reporting for Citi News, and Shirley Ziwu.
Now, local retailers and spare parts dealers at Swami Magazine in Kumasi have kicked against a meeting with the Ashanti Regional Police Command that was meant to restore peace between them and their Nigerian counterparts. The locals defied the presence of armed police officers who escorted the regional police commander to the meeting grounds and insisted that government must intervene to remove all Nigerian retailers from the enclave.
Now, Ashanti Regional Public Relations Officer for the Ghana Union Traders Association, Guta Albert Ofe-Mensah, who spoke to Citi News after the meeting, called on the government through the Trade and Industry Ministry to immediately deploy its task force to evict the Nigerian retailers from the place.
The day that Guta executives met the whole magazine members, including the police commander, Ashanti Regional Police Commander, on his people. We met around 2:30 to 3 o'clock. In case that we all try to solve the problem between the Ghanaians and the foreigners who are engaged our business. So we went to magazine and discussed with them. After discussion, finally, the conclusion we didn't even come to clear, because the magazine people want the government to intervene or do something, because they had a promise through the ministers or the trade minister that he promised them 27, all the foreigners should get out from the business that they are engaging. So we went there to discuss, maybe they can come down, maybe have time until the committee also come and take everything as it is. But when we went there, the police tried to talk to them gradually, but they couldn't. They said, so far as the promise concerned, they won't allow any foreigner to open his shop. So the foreigners, because of the atmosphere, they couldn't open it. And the police were pleading that maybe they should allow them to open. But the magazine boys or the people said no. Because since so many years, any government who came always promised, oh, we are going to help you, we are going to help you. Now they found that the foreigners are taking all their business. That is why they were very, very angry. And the danger is, if you don't take care, or the trade ministry shouldn't come out and they are waiting and delaying, nobody knows what will happen finally. So we all hope and we pray to Alan Chamati that he should try to do something and step in, because he has been promised that by Monday he is going to meet all the committee members which were there before the Carol says something which is not good for us. So we hope after Monday meeting, the committee will come down and start to do their own work. If not, and the police try to do something like that, they will use reinforcement to clear them away from the street or to clear them from the forest area. It will be a big disaster for the nation. So I plead to the government, he should try to do something and use the documents which doesn't allow the foreigners to do that business also to do. Otherwise, nobody knows what will happen today, because what happened today, the police commander and his people will testify it, and they saw it. So not something maybe I have to say much against it, but they themselves can tell the whole thing how the boys is. The Guta executive decided this because of the boys, how angry that they are. We told the police commander they should tell the Nigerians who have been, maybe their shop has been closed, to come down and wait not to open until the meeting from Alan Chamati or Honorable Alan Chamati came back. Because after the task force, maybe they will come and release and also control them. But because of the magazine were saying they wouldn't allow anybody to open the shop. Anybody who try, it's going to be a mess or worse. So the Guta executive prayed to the police or the state that they should tell the foreigners who are engaging their business over there to come down and wait after the task force will come by themselves and they control the problem. Otherwise, when they try, it's going to be a huge problem for the nation, which we don't want it. That's why I want to.
And that's it for today's edition of the Citi Newsroom. My name is Vivian Kai Loco.
And I am Umaru Sanda Amadu.
Thank you so much for your time. Have a lovely weekend and good night.